PokerStatic.com. We bring you the interviews you want to hear. Now with your hosts, Bret Oliverio and Eric Bickel, the Poker Static Hot Seat.
What's up? Welcome to the Poker Static Hot Seat. Bret Oliverio, Eric Bickel, and joining us tonight is Prahlad Friedman. What's up, Prahlad?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Great. Now, obviously, once again, you know, your name is in the news. We've had you on our show before. We've interviewed you on the radio. And like we were saying off there, and Eric has said this, you know, you seem like the most laid-back, sort of down-to-earth, to yourself, you know, not very loud, not very attention-grasping kind of guy, but yet it sort of just seems to find you.
The controversy.
Is this fair to say? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just crazy that the second biggest thing or whatever, I'm involved in the two top things that people have been talking about, from the Lissandro incident to this. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, well, let me just say that. Let me say this. In one of the other interviews I saw you on, people were calling it like one of the most controversial moments in World Series poker history. I mean, no offense. I mean, it was a moment that jumped out at me, but to call it that, I think, is a bit of an overstatement.
Well, I think it's because most people understand that when it gets to zero, your hand's dead. And so I think a lot of the stink that people are raising is the fact that the tournament director or whatever said your hand's dead at 1. So I think some people feel like that it should be 0. So I don't know. I feel like it should be 0. But according to the rules that they were playing with, my hand actually was dead.
Right.
So it's just kind of crazy.
All right. Well, you know what? Since we're talking about it and we're starting the interview this way, why don't we do this? I know you've seen it probably more than you care to see it. But why don't we play it for viewers that haven't seen the hand yet? And I'll have you in a little picture-in-picture, Prahlad. So if at any point you actually want to make a comment, you just tell me. Otherwise, we'll wait until the whole thing plays out, and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good? All right. So let me put it up here on the screen, and we'll press play. And this is from the 2010 main event, where people are accusing Prahlad, some people, of an angle shoot here.
Nail somebody's hand.
Over 7,300 entered the main event, building a prize pool of almost $69 million. More than 5,000 men and women survived day 1. And one dog, what the what? On the left, the dog is Ted Bort, squaring off with bracelet winner Prahlad Friedman.
If he's going to bark, he ought to be on a leash.
Bort, an amateur player from Rockland, California, bets $10,000.
Prahlad won a bracelet in 2003.
What the pros have to put up with. Friedman makes the call. Turn card is a 5.
You know me?
Bort is the CEO of Allied Network Solutions.
Go ahead.
I turned 2 pair right there.
Right, exactly. And you think you're good, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's head up, and this guy's kind of like wild, like a random type player, like random plays. So
What's up with his barking? I mean, is he just like sort of trying to pull a little Havad Khan sort of moment?
He's a fighter. He's a fighter, and sounds like he's been doing it for a while, and he's just, you know, he's got an aggressive personality.
Well, the thing that I find so amazing throughout this, Prahlad, and I think you'll see it, is just how you maintain a calmness. You're kind of laughing. You're just like, you know, you're taking it for what it is. It's a big decision, but like, I would be telling him to stop effing barking. I'd tell all the rail donks to shut the hell up, and you just totally maintain your composure. I'm blown away at how cool you are under this, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I appreciate the compliments, but I think I've just been playing so much poker for so long now that, and as we know, I've been cheated for a lot, so I take everything with stride, you know? I mean, life has its ups and downs, but you just got to roll with the punches, and I'm real happy with my life right now. I have a beautiful wife. I have a great stepson, and,
right.
you know, we're just we're loving life, and so everything, you know, anything bad happens, you know, I think I just take it with stride, and so, you know, situations like this come up, you know, that's the first time I ever got upset on that ESPN Inside Deal thing.
Right.
That's the first time I got upset doing an interview. I mean, usually the haters don't upset me too much. You know, I don't know.
All right, let me finish out the hand. Let me finish out the hand, Brett.
Rambling.
Okay, go.
Before we move on, okay? All right, let me finish out the hand. Here we go.
Is in a big bet, 25,000.
Yeah, get the hell out of my pie.
Prahlad calls for 25,000.
Can't believe you're pulling.
This is quite a pot, almost 83,000. A deuce of clubs on the river.
Come on in.
Fourth bets Prahlad all in.
Come on.
Prahlad's got over 77,000.
All in on table 75. Did Ted Port just call out his own all in?
He did indeed.
Prahlad would be the one all in if he calls. I'll take the call.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll take the call. I'm dead serious with my eyes.
You got all hands beat?
I'm dead
All
serious.
hands beat.
I'll take the call.
You can beat all hands.
Port seems cocksure. Port's a great bluff. I got you beat.
You got the nuts?
You already called. You ain't got it.
No, I ain't got the nuts.
I can say
Big
something.
pot. And Prahlad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say he's trying to do me a favor here. I felt like he was trying to do me a favor. He was talking to me the whole time, and he liked me, and we were having a friendly conversation, and you know, he's kind of telling me what he does and blah blah blah. And I think the way he was talking to me, it felt like he was trying to do me a favor, but I didn't know if that meant like he had ace jack, and he's like, you know, lay your hand down. It's pretty hard to read a guy that is not really a professional.
Right.
Yeah, now that being said, you know, and I read that you said that before, and then I watched the hand, and after hearing you say that, it is pretty obvious that he likes you. He probably feels good playing with you. He feels cool, like he's, you know, playing in a real tournament, and he's excited to play with you. To me, from an outsider looking in, it's almost obvious that he's telling you, look, dude, I got it. You know, fold your hand, let's move on to the next one. I don't want to take you out of this tournament.
Yeah, no, it was, and that's why it's like I kind of felt like I should fold, but it was like, you know, just the random player type of thing. Like he might have had kings or something and just, you know, thought for sure it was good. I don't see why he wouldn't think kings was good in that spot.
Right.
You know, so he could be doing me a favor with a hand like that for sure. I mean, so that's why, you know, I had no idea what to do. Like I see what you're saying. Like that's why I kind of wanted to fold, and then part of me wanted to call too. So I couldn't make my mind up. It's crazy.
All right, well, let's play out the
have
hand.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's play out the hand. Of course, you have two pair at this point. He flops two, top two. And then, of course, he calls the floor, and we'll watch this all develop here. Hold on.
Still has 130 big blinds left.
Maybe you just got a pair of jacks.
Prahlad had 3-bet pre-flop, so maybe he's got a big pair.
Maybe you just got a pair of jacks.
What do you want me to tell you to make you feel better about laying it down? What do you need to see from me? What do you need to see?
I knew he didn't have the nuts because he said something about like you would have already had your money in or something.
Right, right.
He basically told me he didn't have the nuts. Sorry.
Right, no, that's fine.
You kick the dog out.
I got a large holding.
Hey, I tell you what. I'm going to call time on it. I'm calling time on it.
Port called the clock on Prahlad. He's got 1 minute to make a decision.
Huh?
Let me help you out. I'm calling time. Port and Prahlad make an odd couple. I'm going to tell you right now that I'm a genuine person.
Yeah.
Am I? Am I a genuine person?
Okay.
I told you that I would say one thing, that I'd want some of your chips, not all of them. 30 seconds. Here's your second chance. I'm telling you to lay down. I'm telling you. Dead serious. Look at my eyes. You want to see the shake?
So if I fall, you're going to show me.
You damn right I'll show you. You know why? Because I want this table to know when I mean it, I mean it. I respect his play.
I love that line.
First time I got.
Which line? I respect his play.
It's like I want to show this table when I mean it. I mean it. Sounds like out of a movie. It sounds like out of a movie. It sounds so cool, like out of some
Right.
western.
Right.
Now, when I hear that, I think maybe he has aces or kings. You know, I mean, I hear people talking like that with hands like that pre-flop. You know, when they pick up aces or kings, they want to show the table.
I mean, it really felt like when he was talking to me that he put me on not a real big hand. So it's just hard for me to read how big a hand his was.
Right.
I mean, when you re-raise a guy in general, when you re-raise a guy with 9-5 offsuit and you end up with 9s and 5s, like the money's going in. That's just a general, that's a general thing.
Right.
I mean, what are you looking for? You come up with 2 pair with that hand? I'm sorry, my dog is just.
It's fine.
It's all good.
So okay. So Prahlad, he's called the clock, and we're gonna watch the clock wind down and everything. And then we'll get into what everybody's angle is they think that you're shooting here. But my question is, are you thinking pretty much until the last second that you're going to fold and then just sort of out of nowhere, call comes out of your mouth, like at the last second? Or are you thinking...
It's literally, I didn't know what to do. It's like online, I do that all the time, and other people do it to me too. Like people have you're basically stumped in the situation. And then, like, online, you get a certain amount of time to act, so you have no idea what to do, and then you're like, and at the last second, sometimes you hit it. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss it. So it's just kind of like that impulsive decision, like, like I want to call, like, oh, call.
Right.
Like, right at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think he called the clock on you because he wanted you to fold and he wanted to keep playing with you, and that was kind of his way of just getting the hand over with? Thinking you were more likely to fold if someone was counting down?
I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. That's hard to say for me. I don't know. I don't know. I think he had kind of a thing going, a little show going, and calling the clock just added to the drama. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, let's finish it up here. We'll get to the critical element here.
You have 10 seconds. 9, 8. 7.
The nuts?
If
Prahlad doesn't act before the countdown is over, his hand will be dead.
3, 2, 1.
I call.
Dead.
Prahlad called.
Oh, my God. It was a dead hand.
But the foreman says the clock ran out. And that means no call from Prahlad. Borton wins the pot.
Prahlad saw the 2 pair. He releases his hand. No protest from Prahlad. He knows he was beat. I think he should be out of here. The dealer now has mucked Prahlad's hand. Prahlad in the eye of the storm again. Remember in 06, the storm when Prahlad accused Jeff Lissandra of not putting in an ante.
Chicago poker pro Mike Mustafa.
You beat anyway, right?
What the hell's wrong with this poor guy? He said I beat him, so it's over. Get your butt down and play. He should be out. Get another poor guy over here. What do you mean he should be out? I think Prahlad should be out the hand.
I find that hysterical because that guy's arguing on his behalf, and he likes you so much he's defending you.
I know, dude. That guy's a cool guy.
Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, it's so weird.
That's just a bad ruling or a bad rule, basically. I mean, you watch the tape, and it's one of the two, right? It's either bad ruling or a bad rule. The rule should go down to 0.
Right, for sure.
But clearly I said it under 1, so according to their rules, my hand actually was dead, according to their rules. But that's a bad rule, you know?
Right.
Have you talked to any tournament directors like Matt Savage? Have you had any official ruling?
I've seen tweets and stuff. I mean, it seemed like everyone came out and was supporting me when that ESPN thing went down on that inside deal, whatever. When 2 out of the 3 people were saying I shot an angle or whatever, basically saying I was a scumbag. But a lot of people, Daniel Negreanu just wrote a huge thing in his blog. It's like a page long on how silly it is for people. For how silly it is for people to think that it was an angle. And, you know, I'm friends with Daniel, but if you know Daniel, he doesn't care if he's friends with you or not. He'll say anything, like basically whatever he thinks, whether it's controversial or not. So he didn't do that just to, like, get my back in any way. That's the way he feels about the situation. So, you know. And Matt Savage, he said the same thing. He said it's a bad rule or whatever, and he said, you know, he would have ruled the hand a call because, I mean, he goes down to 0. But he said, you know, there's no way I shot an angle. I mean, I don't think anyone thought I shot an angle, basically, but these 2 guys and a few random people online.
Right. But I don't understand exactly what the angle is. The angle is that can you
that I should have like given my chips, just been like, wait, I called before zero. Here's my chips. Pushed them to the guy. But the thing is, like, I could have tried that if I wanted to. I actually discussed that with the table. I was like, should I just give my chips up? I actually said that. And everyone said no. Everyone said you didn't do anything wrong. You know, you have to go with the ruling. Every single person at the table. They all thought I called before zero, but no one thought I did anything wrong. Not one of the players.
Well, I mean,
they were just upset at the ruling. That's all they were upset about. It wasn't personal.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm sure a few people wanted me out, but I really don't think that was their motivation. They just thought it was a bad ruling, and they were trying to keep the game honest, and I respect that, you know?
Right, but even if you wanted to just give him your chips, it'd be since he made the ruling, it would be like chip dumping. You can't even do it.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, they wouldn't even let me.
Right.
I even said something like that, and they were like, no, you wouldn't even be able to do that. Like, you know what I mean? So I was sympathetic to the situation even, and I was talking it out with the people, like saying, like, what is the right thing for me to do here? You know, I never wanted to do anything wrong in any way, you know?
Right.
And I knew there would be heat about it just because, you know, especially if I would have went far, it would have been crazy. They would have been saying he should have been out a long time ago. This is unreal.
Yeah, I was reading your tweets when it happened live during the main event, and you were like, oh, man, another controversy. Did you even think that this angle shoot possibility would come up, or did you think, okay, it's just going to be something sort of, you know, an awkward position for the floor staff to be in? Did you even think that this reaction was going to come a few months later once it aired on TV?
Oh, yeah, I knew there'd be some people that thought like I did something wrong or something in some way. And that's why at the table I was asking everyone, like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? You know what I mean? Because I don't want anyone to think I did anything wrong. I want to play within the rules. I want to do whatever's right. You know what I mean? And everyone's telling me, you know, just, you know, the ruling is the ruling. You know, you can't do anything about it.
Right.
And I'm like, all right. All right. So in my mind, you know, the rest of the tournament was kind of a free roll, you know. I mean, it felt like I got a lucky ruling. But, you know, a lot of rulings have really hurt people, and they've helped people. So, you know, you get it both ways.
Yeah, for sure.
And I certainly got lucky in that situation.
I thought it was also interesting. I think you tweeted in the last couple days that, you know, look at you. You've been cheated out of, you know, I don't know, possibly millions online. You've had all of these controversies surround you, and yet you've never sold out. You never see you wearing a patch or a hat or anything like that.
Yeah, this just says Vietnam. My wife's Vietnamese, and we just went there recently, so I'm promoting Vietnam.
Right. So, I mean, just this whole idea that Prahlad would like shoot an angle to you know, to get a few extra bucks or to survive longer in a tournament is just not the Prahlad Friedman that I've come to know through interviews and watching you and other interviews. It seems sort of insane. Why do people accuse you all the time of something nefarious? I don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they think in a weird way that, like, I'm clever or something, I'm thinking.
Right.
Some people, like, when that Lissandra thing went down, some people thought that was a whole super clever scheme that I came up with to try to tilt him. And how it was genius, you know?
Right.
And so I think maybe some people think that I'm good at, like, maneuvering my way around or something. But it's far from who I am as a human being. Like, I don't, you know, it's like I said in some of my tweets, you know, I'm not the guy that tries to look for an edge on prop bets and all this silly stuff. Like, any edge I can get, let's play Chinese poker, I'll give you 10% back, all that stuff. You know, a lot of these guys, they're very good friends, but they spend 20 years, 30 years just gambling with each other.
Right.
And I don't know. To me, that seems like a waste of time, kind of. You should either be, like, traveling the world or improving your life or maybe playing poker against people you don't know so well. You know? I don't know.
Well, let me say this about Bernard Lee, and I watched the ESPN Inside Deal. I mean, he just comes across, first off, it's just a huge nerd, which is fine, but just the way he's talking, you know, he's like, well, he was clearly an angle shoot, if you want my opinion. I would have given my chips and walked away. And it's like, dude, first off, no, you wouldn't have. You know, secondly, you know, the floor made the Prahlad didn't do anything. You just abided by what the floor said. So for him to say that, I don't even think he's being genuine, to tell you the truth. I don't think he would have got up and walked out. I mean, come on.
Oh no, I'm sure you could get get Navarro on what he was talking about right there, and he might have a few tells on some lies.
Seriously.
Because he started out the sentence saying something like, well, I'm no angel, or something like that, like, I'm not perfect. Okay, so what have you done?
Right.
I mean, and then he goes on to say he would be like the most perfect, the Jesus of poker, and he would just give up his chips and hand it to the center. I mean, I don't think anyone would do that.
You know what I think part of it is, Prahlad? Honestly, I think people hate on you, but and again, we talked about this off air. I think it's a loud minority. It's just like a few guys, little nerds, are on the internet all day, whatever, trying to fill time. But I think part of it, honestly, is because you're a rapper and you enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people, for some reason,
but it's not just that I'm a rapper. It's that I'm a white rapper.
Yes.
That's really what it is. And people hate white rappers. They really do.
Yes.
I mean, they really do. They're like the most hated group of people in the world.
Yeah.
And you're the world's greatest free throw shooter. There has to be some hating on that, too.
I know, all the guys that spent their whole life shooting hoops, I'm sorry, guys.
Let's talk.
That's funny.
Let's talk about, though, sort of how you've gotten to this point today, because there are probably some people out there that watch you and think, oh, you know what, Prahlad's one of these TV pros. He's just like Phil Hellmuth and all these other guys, and the real killers are the ones online. When really you were one of the originators. You were the original killer online, and you sort of come full circle, and in a lot of ways, you're a survivor because you're a killer, and then you went through all that scandal, and you got cheated, and then you've had success live and in the WSOP, and yet you're still surviving. There aren't many guys, I bet, that came up with you in your era that are still surviving and still playing big the way you are.
Yeah, I mean, poker's like one of the hardest things to succeed in, really. And I got a few buddies that want me to teach them, and I'm teaching them, but I'm just letting them know that it's probably less than I don't know what it is, 0.2% of people that try to make poker can make it. And because if you look at just like the top players in the world, half of them or whatever are busted, or they're in huge debt, or they're getting put in, or whatever. I mean, this is not exposed. The average person that watches TV poker, they think these guys have all the money, but unfortunately, the best players in the world go through tough times, and they have their ups and downs.
Right. Let's talk.
Right. And for instance, excuse me, Eric, a couple of the guys that were cheated with you, Brad Booth, for instance, I mean, they sort of just disappear, which is kind of sad, because who knows where he would be if the situation with Ultimate Vet didn't happen. So, even more to your credit that you were able to sort of pull through that when a lot of other guys are still trying,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, poker's tough, and I think the real reason why I've had success through all this is because of my wife, honestly. Without her, I would have just, I probably would have been a little bit more reckless. My personality, I usually like to challenge the world type of, in anything I do. Like, at this, while I'm a liberal, outspoken vegan, whatever, I still am very competitive, from a little kid, sports or whatever. So I'm always trying to get competitive with things, and I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Let's talk.
So what did your wife? What sort of advice did your wife give you? Was she like, we have a family?
Sorry. Yeah, back to my point. If it wasn't for my wife, I always joke that I'd have 20 million or I'd be broke, and I'd probably be 95% broke, because she just keeps me. She just keeps me grounded. I mean, she makes sure I don't play too big, that I play a reasonable limit. And I've created a stop loss now. I don't go off for like 10 buy-ins anymore. I got a lot of other interests in life now, so if I lose 3-4 buy-ins, whatever, I can just quit for the day. I'm not really tripping, and then I'll just play the next day, or maybe I'll play in a few days from then, whenever. I'm just a lot more controlled. I'm not trying to challenge everyone. I don't play that as much head up as I used to. I'm looking for, good games, and I've played just 1 or 2 tables now, and it's been going well. So, I mean, I just thank my wife for just keeping me grounded and keeping me, playing within the bankroll and being smart.
Well, let's talk about when you were killing it, Prahlad, online. I don't know what was your peak. Was it like 2005, 2006? Remind me, because I forget all the details. And then
yes.
And then what?
2000. Sorry, the phone's ringing.
No, go ahead. And then talk about what your peak was, and then talk about when the whole UB scandal was hitting, and then when you kind of hit rock bottom.
Yeah, well, 2006, everything was going, fantastic. I mean, and that was even after getting 2 years of being cheated. So that's pretty wild. And it's like, I always like to joke with people. I was like, man, I used to make more money when they could see my hole cards. Because for 2 years I was being cheated, but I was doing really well. So I was beating everyone, and then Russ Hamilton or whatever wasn't getting all of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's pretty wild.
Who were some of your rivals at that point? Who were like your big matches that you were having at that point?
Oh, I used to play Chip Reese, Doyle Brunson, Phil Ivey, Eli Lesra.
Right.
Right. Just you name it, Daniel Elahi, just everyone. Everyone was on there. Freddie Deeb, Phil Hellmuth, Ben Affleck was on there.
Were you up against all those guys, or were you down against Ivy, down against Doyle, or did you sort of just mow through them?
I think I beat almost everyone. A few guys beat me. Green Plastic beat me. Everyone knows of that. Or not everyone, but a lot of people.
Taylor.
He didn't beat me for nearly as much as everyone was saying. Beat me for like maybe 200,000 or something. I don't know.
Right.
But
so you even got Ivy back then?
Actually, Ivy and I probably in the long run broke about even. But I would have my stretches where I'd kill him and he would kill me. But yeah, he's definitely a great player. You think he's kind of wild because he doesn't like to fold, but he doesn't bluff as much as people think he does. So, he gets paid off.
Now,
he's a great player.
What was that game that you were playing at that point? Was it 50-100? How high was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was 50-100 was going crazy. We'd play 6 games, and then on Omaha we'd play 6 games. There was just games everywhere. And I got into Omaha and I started challenging, anyone in Omaha, and I would play head up Omaha all the time and head up No Limit and just have all kind of games going, 8 games at once, all pretty big games. It was wild.
And when did you realize that you were being cheated? When the whole thing just hit 2+2? When everybody else found out?
Yeah, pretty much. When I kind of just found out at the last minute, oh, hey, people got money back, and I checked my account and I got money back, and I was I was pretty happy because I was like, wow, that's nice to have free money. In your mind, it feels like free money, even though it's not, but whatever, it feels that way, and you're just like, wow, that's awesome. Normally, you get cheated somewhere, you probably don't, you don't get any money back. So to get money back at all seems nice,
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Of course, people are telling you should get restitute. You should, for the money you could have earned, and it ruined it ruined a lot of people's lives. They should get extra money from what they're owed. And I mean, they're making pretty valid points, but are they going to do that? No.
Right. Right.
What are you going to say?
But it wasn't just oh, by the way, they were cheating me a little along the way. You did start to notice your results suffering, right? And your game suffered, and your confidence suffered, right? And you really started to question yourself.
Yeah. No, I did because, I used to make such great bluffs. I would put people on one pair, and I just would make a big raise, all the time. And so, for people to win good pots against me, they'd have to call with one pair, huge amounts. So, and a lot of times when they made those big calls, I also mixed it in with having it. So it was tricky to play, and people weren't adjusting very well. And, it just that style used to just dominate back then.
Right.
Right.
So how did you have to change your style then?
Well, my bluffs weren't working, so I had to tighten up basically, and I kind of knit it up. I turned into a knit for a while because it just felt like I could sit there and not play a hand for 2 hours, and then I get in there and I 3-barrel bluff or something, and I get called by middle pair, and it's like, what? So I'm just thinking I have a lifelong image of being a bluffer. That's what I'm thinking when that kind of stuff was going down. I was like, I just need to tighten way up, and basically, if I don't play a hand for 2 hours, I'll just get in there with a set, and then they'll still think I'm bluffing, and then I'll get the money. So I kind of turned into a knit like that, and it actually worked on a lot of opponents because I do have that image, but still can't beat the guys that can see your hole cards.
Let me ask you, how often do you think about that? Do you think about it every day, once a week, once a month?
The money, me being cheated and all that?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. I think I think about it, maybe I don't know, every time I get interviewed.
Like, do you think about when you're playing? Does your wife ever bring it up to you?
Nah, I mean, maybe a few times a month. How about that? Probably about that. Like, I don't really think about it too much, but it does kind of get into the brain, maybe 3-4 times a month. I don't let it, it's not just weighing on me, but, poker-related things and anything I see, if I see the word cheating, if I'm flipping channels, I see cheaters, I'm just... it kind of, it stays with you, but, I don't let it harp on me. I don't wake up like cold sweats or anything. It's all good. I mean, it happened in the past, and I wish there could be something done about it with the law, but it's a little frustrating, but, I try to take it in stride like I was telling you. I mean, it's all good. Life goes on.
Didn't you disappear for a period of time, though, from some of the bigger games and maybe even from the live tournament circuit? I mean, didn't you have to take a break?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't, like, sitting there depressed or anything, going nuts or anything, but, I mean, I was playing a little bit, I was playing a little bit online, and I was still playing poker, but I just wasn't as, like, going around the circuit and being kind of, exposed like that. I was just kind of chilling at home most of the time, or just hanging out with my family or traveling or whatever,
Right.
But, I mean, I just kind of disappeared from the circuit scene or the tournament, so everyone thought I just disappeared for a while. But, I mean, I was around. I was still around.
Now, what games are you still playing online these days? I still see you every once in a while playing in some of the biggest games in the world.
Well, I mean, yeah, every day I've been playing in these 50, 100 games on PokerStars, and occasionally on Full Tilt, the 40-80 no limit. And that's I don't like playing higher than that. I like 50, 100 is a pretty big game, and I know those guys that play on Full Tilt, they play those huge games. They don't have wives, most of them, so they're not grounded. So they might make a ton of money, the Durs and whoever else, but like they also have a risk of ruin because they're playing above their bankroll most of the time. So it's tough to stay in the money doing that, risking that all the time. So I'm just trying to be a little more steady and just, live a good life, but I'm not trying to blow up huge,
Right.
Without sort of getting too in-depth into your personal finances, could you stop playing poker if you wanted to, or are you playing to pay your bills? Is it somewhere sort of in between?
No, I definitely couldn't stop playing poker. I mean, I'm out here in Malibu, and it ain't cheap. So, right. And, I got a family, my wife and I are trying to have a kid, and I got a big group of friends and family and loved ones, and sometimes people, have problems, I mean, I feel like I got a whole bunch of people to support and love right now, and so it feels like I still need to work. I still need to kind of make some money. So I'm not at that point yet where, if I would have won in 2006, now I probably wouldn't be playing poker too much. That was my chance. And I think about that probably maybe once every 2 months, I think about that pocket sevens hand.
Right.
Hold on.
What was that hand? Refresh my memory again. I mean, I remember you deep. I just can't remember that specific hand.
Oh, yeah, it was pocket sevens. Jamie Gold raises up front, kind of. I decided to just call with sevens. It comes like deuce, 5 or something. And he bets. I just call with the sevens. The turn comes an ace. Now he checks. I check. And then the river came 1 card to a wheel. It was like ace, deuce, 3, 5, 4 by the end, something like that. And now he bet 750,000. I knew to call him. I told him he had king 10. It was weird. I'd never played with him before, but I had heard a story that he had bluffed with like a king 10, and he bet 750,000 or something. So this was like out of a movie. So now this is happening, and so I'm talking it out. I'm saying, you had king 10 the last time you did this, and he's sitting there with king 10.
Huh.
And I wanted to call, and then like he started doing all this acting stuff, and by the end of all that acting, for some reason, like my hand just went like that and mucked it. And I'll always remember that because like I wanted to call. It was just one of those out of body experiences.
Wow. Wow.
How many people were left?
That was like I went out in 20th place. At that point, that was like 24th or I don't know what it was, but that was a decent sized pot. Would have helped me a lot. And then the hand I went out on, he raised with like a 8-9 offsuit or 7-8 offsuit. But he raised, the blinds were 30,000, 60,000. He made it 400,000, which was an abnormally big raise, and I knew he had nothing. My friend actually kind of gave me a tell on his that I was already like looking at, and he confirmed it like at the break. And then I go back in there, and he does it. He does this little thing.
What was it? Can you tell us what the tell was?
Well, it was just kind of like a way he was carrying himself, like with his chips, basically. I don't know. It's just kind of the way he put his chips in the pot and the way his body positioning. I don't know. It's not like super specific, but when my friend told me about it, I just saw it basically. He didn't tell me like exactly what it was, but he just said, I'm seeing this thing. And so when I saw it, he just looked nervous the way he was holding his chips, basically. It wasn't like a tell where his pinky twitched or anything. Because you don't get too many of those tells. That's like in the movies. But you just get a sense of weakness, and my friend confirmed that he's giving off that strong sense of weakness is basically what it is.
Right.
And I felt it. I felt it on this abnormally big raise. And so I had ace-3 offsuit, and I put $2.2 million in. And this guy with pocket 10s in the big blind mulls it over and folds. So that was beautiful. And then it comes back to him. He's like, well, I'm getting about 2-1. So, he calls. He wasn't. The funny thing is, if he can see my hand, he was actually getting the right price to call because I'm a 55 to 45 favorite. Right. So he actually made the right call, but he probably made the wrong call in the long run because I'm not going to be having the ace-3 there that often. I'd been playing pretty tight. Wasn't playing any hands, so it was kind of wild. And then he flopped the nuts, so it was all she wrote.
What did he have? Did he have like 7-5 or what was his hand?
He had like 7-8 or 8-9. I always forget. Okay. But he flopped the nuts. It came like 4-5-6, and he had the 7-8.
Now, I want to ask you about sort of ESPN's coverage of you because, I mean, to tell you the truth, other than the World Series on TV, we don't really see much from you. I mean, we might see you rapping, a link to you rapping or a YouTube video, but it's sort of like you're sort of out of the spotlight, and then when the World Series comes on, it's all about Prahlad Friedman. I mean, do they, as soon as you walk in, are the cameras on you? Do they set it up with you beforehand? What's the dynamic like with you and ESPN?
I think I'm real friendly with all the people at ESPN. All those guys are real cool people, it seems like, and I've never met like the Andrew Feldman and this Bernard Lee guy. That's something else. That was a different show, but just the regular ESPN, that the crew that's over there, they're all real friendly, cool. and so I'm always down to do a little something with them. We laugh, we have a good time. We do a little rap video or do a little interview or whatever. Yeah, pretty much like when I go and I play the World Series, they come by, the cameras come by, just because of my history, the Losandro incident, whatever. They figure people are interested in what I'm doing, or what controversy might strike up. Who knows?
Now, you mentioned Durr earlier and the guys that are playing the nosebleed games. We just interviewed Jungle Man, and a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
And he and Durr are in the middle of this challenge here, and Jungle Man's got off to a big start. But I wanted to get your...
How much is he up now?
Last, what was it, about 700K, something like that, in the first 7,000 hands, something like that. But I wanted to get your take on it, and I wanted to, have you played with Jungle Man? Have you played a lot with Durr recently? And how do you think that match is going to go? And just your whole take.
I've played a lot with Durr, but not for a long time. So he's kind of evolved as a player. He does some different things. I've watched Durr play a lot, like when he played Isildur 1 or whatever. I watched a lot of that match just because it was so interesting to me. I'm always trying to learn new things, and it was just exciting. I mean, they were playing $700,000 pots, and if you're just a fan, I'm still a fan of poker. I mean, I still love the game even after all these years. So it was pretty interesting to watch that. And Durr's a great player. I used to play with him back in the day on UB. He used to play me a lot. We'd play head up or just shorthanded. But Jungle Man, I played him recently, maybe a year ago for half a year, it's 8 months. I don't know. We were playing a lot. I thought I had all these tells on him, all these different things that I won't say, but for a while it was like insane. Like I had a session or two with him where it was just like I knew what he had every single hand. And then he adapted, he changed, and he's tricky, he's real aggressive. So it keeps you on your toes. He's like, if you 3-bet him, he likes to 4-bet a lot, and he has like nothing a lot of times, like 10-3 suited. So it gets you to start 5-betting, and then then if you run bad, he wakes up with ace king and stuff, in those spots, or ace queen, and it gets tricky. It forces you to take like an ace 5, and you end up 5 or 6 betting it all in, and then he'll just insta fold, or he'll just put it in and have you crushed. So you're gonna have some sessions where you kill him, and then sessions where he kills you. So he's tricky, and he's a smart guy. So that'll be an interesting match. They're both pretty aggressive players. So I don't know. I would say that Durr was a favorite, but the Jungle Man's a great player too.
Right. Who else is out there that jumps out at you? Obviously Phil Ivey. He's got to be everybody's number one. What the guy does live and online is incredible. But who else besides Jungle Man, Durr, Ivey? Who else jumps out at you? Let's say is the best PLO players in the world, and then no limit players.
I don't know. Patrick Antonius. He's a great player. I don't know. Chao Zhang.
Okay.
He does well. You read that article. You read that article where he won $22 million and then he blew it all in the pit. That was in. You guys read that?
I didn't.
I didn't read that. I've heard stories about it like that.
Somewhere like that. It's a whole 8-page thing. You guys should check that out. It's pretty crazy.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, so, I don't know. There's a lot of these young guys are good. Like on Poker Stars or whatever, all these guys playing 50, 100, and 1 and 2. They're pretty good. Daniel's been playing in that 1 and 2 game a lot.
Why don't you play him all the time? He sits there a lot of times by himself and no one plays him. You obviously, you have to have an edge on him online, heads up.
Yeah, I think I would, but he's a friend of mine. We're both vegans, and I just tweeted this earlier. I don't like to play with friends, and I don't really like to bet with friends, so I don't really want to play him, Like Gus, a lot of times, he was around UB and back in all those games were going, and people were dying to play with him, but I would never play him head up because he's just a friend of ours. My wife's been friends with him for 16 years or something, and I've been friends with him too for a long time. And so, I don't really want to play him, even if I think I have an edge on him, it's just because he's my boy or whatever. I'd just rather not play.
What's he like personally? Because we see him on all these shows, but I don't feel like I really.
Gus?
Yeah, I really don't feel like I know him the person.
Oh, he's a great guy. He's just a real nice guy. Down to earth. He's interested in a lot of different things. I remember he'd stay up late playing like some Yahtzee game, counting out all the dice and everything. There's some game that he plays. And I think they play for money or whatever. He's a cool guy. I mean, what's not to like about Gus?
Well, what's next for you? Where are we going to see you next? I know that you're on the big game, right? Are we going to see you on High Stakes Poker? Any chance of that?
No, I mean, they haven't invited me. I mean, people have tried to influence them to invite me. People have put in a word for me, and I know Maury. I'm friends with Maury, and so I don't know. Maybe
would
one
you play?
day. But
would you play if you were invited? And would you play yourself, or would you get a stake?
No, I would play myself. If I felt like the game was too big, I could like peace out or something. But I don't know. Depending on what the show was, if it was some special show where they're gonna buy in like a huge amount, I could piece myself out at least a little bit. And sometimes friends want like a little piece anyway to sweat for fun anyway. I usually don't like to really to do. I like to just be all on my own, but occasionally I'll piece out to friends is usually what I do. Tiny little percentages. So we'll see. I don't know. I might not ever get invited. So.
Well, we'll have to interview.
I would like if you.
Yeah, we'll have to interview Maury again. We've had him on the show before. We'll put in a good word for whatever that's worth.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be cool.
Well, listen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone loves High Stakes, right? It's a great show.
Great show.
Awesome show.
Listen, it's great to talk to you. You've always been kind to us. We've interviewed a couple times before. Again, I think you are one of the coolest, most down-to-earth guys in poker. I think you're one of the most underappreciated guys out there. And anytime anybody gives you a bad rap, I got your back. I know Bret has your back. You are a cool dude.
For sure.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys are the best.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
we
pal.
will see everyone next week. Thanks for watching. Are you going to freestyle? You want to freestyle for us?
I'll give you a little something.
Good. All right.
Yo, we on Ubu. It's not like voodoo. Gotta say peace to Haiti. Y'all can't replace me. I'm a dope MC. Yeah, I made my own beat. It's in the background, and I don't eat meat. I don't eat cattle, and I grew up in Seattle. I came to battle, and I will go full throttle. Push it to the limit. We get in it. That we started. It's deeply departed, and I'm out. The show was cool, and that's what I'm about.
Nice. All right. Hey, check him out on Twitter at Prahlad Friedman. Is his Twitter name. Hit him up there. I follow him. I know EB does too.
Absolutely.
And he keeps us up to date with everything. So thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, pal.
We'll catch you next time.
Man.
All right, peace.
Always fun. Take care, guys. Good luck with the show.
See you, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.